Matthew Brown said some upsetting things to certain, he basically in the Weaponized podcast, he said that we live in a simulation, that we were left behind, and that God is real. And I get that it can be upsetting to some people to hear stuff like that. So even though I'm kind of sick today, so I haven't been posting, but let's break that down a little bit. Just kind of noodling on it for entertainment purposes only to see what that could have meant. If you go back, and I'm not trying to upset anyone religious, if you go back through the Bible, the parts of the Bible that were derived from the Sumerian text, if he is talking about the Anunnaki in the Sumerian text that was then transferred over to the Bible and made into Yahweh or God, or actually it would be the Old Testament, the Torah. So when it was transferred into the Torah, into those parts of the Torah, and then it kind of morphed its way, it changed in the New Testament, then that could very well potentially be him saying that God is real and that we were left behind, because we were left behind. As far as those texts go, and once again, I'm not trying to upset anybody, as far as those texts go, we were created as a slave race because they needed someone to mine gold, because gold was needed for their planet. It's the only thing that they could put in their atmosphere as a sort of mock ozone layer to protect their planet. And it works very well as that. If you have it as like nanoparticles and you put it in, it can work as a mock ozone layer. Sorry, I'm sick. And then once they were done mining everything that they needed, they left. They left us. Before that, there's the whole story of, there were some of them wanted to mate with, female humans, and then there was that whole situation, but we're not getting into that right now. Either way, that could be a possibility of what he was saying as far as God is real. But you can take it however you want to. Absolutely however you want to. And in that situation, with them leaving us behind, because it does say in the text that they knew that they did something wrong. And that's not saying that that is the actual God. I actually do believe that there is one creator of all, just to make that clear. It's just the books, as far as in the books and him saying that it's real. I also believe that there is a creator of all. And that's a whole different thing. We're not going to get into that. Either way, as far as the Anunnaki go, when they left us behind, they could have put us in sort of a controlled environment, making sure that we were not going to venture off and kind of do things that they had done in the past, mistakes that they had made in the past, because according to certain texts, they blended their DNA with the hominids on our planet, right? So we're part them. I mean, if you think of the theories with Bigfoot saying that Bigfoot may have been the remaining hominids that were originally on our planet that did not get spliced with the Anunnaki. And the natives, and I'm going to go into this in the next one. I've been sick. The natives talk about Bigfoot, which they have different names for them, as a very spiritual being. So they're able to transcend different dimensions. And there may be a concern with if we are blended with those two, and we have that spiritual side to us where we're able to transcend dimensions, where we may have a connection with creative energy source, the creator's energy source within us, and then are blended with the Anunnaki and everything that they have going on. And that's, potentially where the violence and all that kind of stuff and the conquering stuff comes from, then that could be a concern too. It may be a concern for other species that we have that blended. And so they may want to keep us contained before they allow us to go into the universe, not knowing what we're capable of. Just noodling. So we may repeat mistakes that they made. And we're already doing things that supposedly, according to those texts, they did. Now, going into the simulation, he could have been either one, and I don't know if he was thinking this far in depth into it. If you think down to an anatomic scale, or even an energetic scale, if you go further than anatomic, this is a simulation. It is. It's created by our mind. We're not even solids here. We're not, you never touch anything. We are floating atoms, but our mind and our consciousness and the way our nerves and synapses are wired, we see ourselves as solid because that's beneficial for our survival and for this entire situation here. So yeah, it is a simulation. That's not something to be upset about. It doesn't discredit that we're actually here. He could also be thinking on a government level and talking about, you know, us living in like the Matrix, because that's what he said, the Matrix, and the, you know, the control that they have over us that's further than just like laws and rules. It seems like there's a lot more in depth that we don't fully comprehend that they have as far as control over us. Even things that are coming out right now, like vibrational frequency. It was, I can't think of it off the top of my head. It was about 30, 40 years ago when they changed the tuning frequency from 438, which is a healing frequency, to 440, which is not a healing frequency. It actually triggers anger and outbursts and depression and like a whole bunch of stuff. It triggers unrest. And they changed the tuning frequencies to that. They called it the war on music. You can look into it, or I can make another post on it. Either way, they have figured out over a long period of time how to control people. We even have weapons at this point in time that can put words into people's minds. So they feel like, you know, either they're talking to themselves, that it's their inner dialogue, or they can even, you know, feel like God is talking to them. We have frequency weapons that do some pretty wild stuff. So you can imagine how much control they actually can have on us. That's not saying that they do. And once again, this is for entertainment purposes only. I don't want this to get taken down. I'm just trying to make everyone feel a little bit better. This is definitely something that I feel like they should not slow drip. A personal opinion, I think that this is something that needs to be a sit-down conversation with everybody all at once. I don't think that coming out with this and saying like little bits, like just happened, you know, little cryptic messages are going to be beneficial for anyone in this situation. If anyone in control is hearing this, I think it would be more beneficial to have a sit-down talk with everybody. You know what I mean? This is not a drip gonna be better situation, because then people are stuck in their thoughts. And 99.99% of the time, your thoughts are way worse than it actually is. Yeah. A lot of us tend to do that. We create the worst case scenario in our minds. But either way, it does not discredit our existence here. It does not discredit anybody's lives. And even if we are in a controlled environment, you know, even if say the moon is a satellite and it's observing us and it is hollow, and this is just me, you know, noodling here. And that's why we haven't gone back to the moon, is simply because we are supposed to stay here in our controlled environment. For whatever reason, they've decided that we need to stay here. Who cares? Right? It doesn't discredit our existence here. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't change anything. And it's probably for a good reason. Maybe we need to develop more. So we don't go around, you know, the universe blowing things up like we do on our planet. All right. We have a problem with that. We need to work that through before we go elsewhere. Otherwise, we're just going to bring our problems elsewhere. Okay, hopefully that made everybody feel better. Okay, love you, bye.